I feel like it was more about the world around me than it was about me in terms of deciding to change my body. I just got really sick of walking down the street more than anything else. And I got sick of like bathrooms. So I got sick of walking down the street and getting like catcalled all the time. And I also like it was amusing but also irritating that every time I like someone talked to me on the street, they'd call me sir, ma'am, sir. And then I went to see Dr. Rongich. As a baseline, I knew she had experience working with trans folks. She was my boyfriend at the time. She was his provider, and he doesn't like doctors, and he liked her. And I knew a couple other people that saw her, and so she came recommended. Um, and my impression was that she had been like trained by another provider, kind of mentored by another provider that was knowledgeable on trans issues, and it seems to be like the only way to really get an education on the issue. But so anyway, that was good background, and then when I saw her, I just felt like she asked the right questions and she asked them in the right way for me, and I feel like her approach was really supportive, and it was really kind of holistic. Like she wasn't just asking medical questions, she was asking like sensitive and thoughtful questions about my life and what it'll mean for my life to make this transition. I think she trains her staff really well, and I think I like the way she uses language, and I like she calls I wouldn't care if she said pap, but some of her patients might. So she just says like annual exam or your regular exam, and like instead of doing a breast exam, she says she's doing a chest exam. She does things like that, and she also uses like correct anatomical language. But I think she's open to the words that you want her to use, and I think that's really important. And her staff always knows what to call me in the waiting room. But the other experience I've had, and starting with forms, is I went to get a physical at one point for nursing school, and Dr. Rongich was my provider, but I had a broken arm and I couldn't get to her office easily, and it had to be done fast. So I went to just a neighborhood clinic that was covered by my insurance. And the first thing that happened was that, when you're getting a physical, they give you a form to fill out. And they're color coded, so they have pink forms and they have blue forms. So pink form is for women and blue form is for men. So when I came back with the pink form again, she's like, oh, you have the wrong form, and I have to explain it to her. My chart is right there, like it's right there. She could look at it, she could look at her computer screen. She doesn't. And she gets really like super flustered. It's very clear that she's never knowingly interacted with a trans person. And they had already set up, because whoever set up the room was just going off my chart and hadn't seen me. They had put a tray to do a pap because that was part of the visit. And she got really anxious about the fact that there was a pap tray in the room, and she was looking at me. And so she started, let me backtrack. So I had explained to her, that I think the way I explained to her is, I'm transgendered. I was born, I was born female. I take testosterone, so I appear male. I haven't had any surgeries, so, that's me. And so she starts talking to me, and she's like trying to figure out if I need a pap smear, and she's just totally flustered. So she starts saying like, well, what do you have? And I'm looking at her like, are you talking about diseases? Are you talking about body parts? Like, what do you mean, what do I have? Like, I'm just sitting here. So she starts saying like, well, what do you have? Do you have a vagina? Do you have breasts? Do you have a breast and a vagina? Like, what do you have? And it was just so inappropriate. It was so inappropriate. She leaves the room at some point. Nurse practitioner comes in, and she's a hot mess too. I felt like she didn't want to touch me, was the feeling I was getting from her. I was supposed to get a pap that day. First she asked me, do you ever get paps? Like in this accusatory way, which I get a lot. And I think it's totally inappropriate, like, because number one, it's rude if I do get PAPs and take care of my health in that way, because you're assuming that I'm not. And two, if I did have a hard time receiving that form of healthcare, which some trans people do, asking me in a rude, accusatory way is not going to build my confidence in getting care, which puts my health at risk. My insurance right now doesn't cover Dr. Wrongage, so I've gotten charged like $125. I've seen her twice in the past while because I've been doing some stuff with adjusting my dose and blah blah blah. But sometimes it's just worth it to pay, even when I don't have that money. Like I have no idea how I'm going to pay this next bill, but I don't care. Like sometimes it's worth it to just have a payment plan and pay $25 a month for a while to pay off this visit because just the feeling like the difference in how it feels to be sitting in that room and have her walk in is so like it's so huge. And I know that that's true of anyone, like regardless of your gender identity. If you have a trusted relationship with a provider, like that just makes a huge difference no matter what in your care. If you can create what feels like a secure, safe environment, then you're going to have a better relationship, like a more trusted relationship with that patient and going to be able to make a difference in their health.